everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Pittsburgh Sports Castle podcast. I'm your host, Rachael Kriger. Today we have a really cool show for you guys. We have Ryan James of the Pittsburgh Riverhounds joining us today. Ryan is a defender for the team. He's going to take us through a preview of tomorrow's big playoff match against Louisville City FC. If you can hear the cars, I'm outside right now, but Ryan and I did not talk outside. We talked yesterday on Thursday over Zoom. So without further ado, you're not going to hear too much from me anymore. Here's my interview with Ryan James. Ryan, good to see you again, my friend. How are you?
Doing very well, Rachel. Very well. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm excited to watch you guys play on Saturday. It's been a while since I've actually been able to tune into a game, which is probably bad to admit, but it's been a little chaotic, but I'm excited to watch you guys play, and you guys have had a really good season. So do you want to just jump right into it and have me shoot you some questions?
Yes, let's do that. Lovely.
Awesome. So can you just kind of in your words, recap the regular season and tell me what you thought about the team? I know there's a lot of different players that have really kind of stepped up. And then, with Kenny being out for some time, what were your thoughts on the very unnormal season?
Definitely very different. You had the preseason seemed like a normal preseason, kind of slow with our preseason games, and we weren't scoring as much, and seemed like a difficult period there. And then you have the whole COVID, the pandemic started to hit, and guys started to kind of leave. And there's some guys that went home, left the country, went home to different states. There's an unknown period there, where nothing's happening. Finally, 2-3 months, I'm not positive on the times, but guys start coming back one at a time, and we're able to train a little bit, voluntarily. And then, boom, yeah, we're having a season. Lovely. 3 weeks, we start to hit the season. Still kind of waiting on some guys trying to come back into Pittsburgh, coming in from different countries because of the restrictions and everything. But I'd say we started off fairly well, with everything going on. We started to feel, figure out some things. We had to work on some things like a normal start of a season. We started to hit our stride in the middle of the season a little bit. Obviously, you said Kenny was out for a little bit, and that in itself seemed a little devastating at first. But I think as we've grown as a team, we've noticed that we are very deep as a team, and we have guys slide in and out of positions. And it's been proven in those 6-7 games that Kenny wasn't able to start. And that's a big hands up to those guys that don't get as many minutes as maybe they deserve. But it shows how deep we are as a team, and how dedicated we are in training as well, because that comes a lot of times from training when you're not getting the game minutes and guys are picking up and standing up. And now we're here at playoffs where everyone wants to be. Everyone wants to be at playoffs, and I think we're in a good spot. Everyone's very excited. We're training very well. I think we're ready just to get out there and show them what we've got, and put a good game on for everyone, and give a good foot forward for this first playoff game.
Yeah, and you guys are pretty familiar with the team you're playing with, and we'll get to that in a minute. But sometimes, Ryan, I mistake you for an attacker because you had 5 goals this season. Pretty good mark there. What has worked so well for you to get those goals and to just get more involved in the attack?
I think possession as a team has been good in some of these games that we've been playing, and we've been possessing it a lot more, and that allows for me as a wingback to kind of creep up a little bit and get a little higher, and whoever's playing the right wingback, for them to creep up a little bit. And at times you'll see that we're both fairly high, and I think that's just from good possession from in the midfield defense, and as a team we're just keeping the ball very well. So that really allows more players to kind of step up the field. So I'd say that's the biggest part for me.
Do you have a favorite goal? from this year?
Favorite goal. I definitely like the one in my very first one, Philly 2, the first time volley into the net. It just felt very nice. It was a surreal moment. It was the first one, first time going up on a corner. It was a special one for sure.
Yeah, on that defense, kind of backtracking from Ryan James the attacker to Ryan James the defender. You have a couple new faces on defense. Skylar Thomas is one that comes to mind. You guys seem to gel pretty good, and you guys have had a lot of, with the help of Danny and Tomas Gomez, you guys have had a few shutouts this year too. Just what's it like working with those guys, and then having someone like Tommy on the back line that you've worked with for a couple years now?
It's been great. It's the guys that you can rely on, and I've found myself from a defensive standpoint, not even just the back line and the goalies, just everyone. You can rely on people to be in certain positions when you're in a certain position, and that gives you a little bit of comfort when you're defending. So I'd say consistency has been very, very good this year, and that's something that plays into a very good player. And when you have several good players on the field, it makes for a very, very good team. And I think consistency defensively for us has been good. We can rely on people to be off shoulders or in a certain position when I need you there to help me to cover my back. So that's been huge for us.
And it's no secret that Bob has really rotated the team. There were a lot of, good players that went elsewhere this offseason. There are a lot of new players that come in, a lot of young players too. Anywhere on the pitch, is there anyone who has really surprised you this year and you would pick as like your newcomer of the year?
Surprised me. I wouldn't say so much surprise. I've been playing these last couple of games pretty much alongside, I'd say, Danny Griffin, and I think he's done great to grow into that midfield role. And it's not always easy to come into any different league. He's come from college to the USL, and the speed's a little bit different, and the game is a little bit different. And I think he's grown and he's taken charge of his role here, and he's done well with it. He's a good person to be around outside of the field, and I know just as hard as I work, I know he's going to be working maybe even a little bit harder than me right next to me. So I can I'd say that Danny Griffin, I don't want to say he surprised me because I saw good things coming, but he's done very well for himself, and that's not always easy. He's been consistent. That's the word I think of the year for me. So he's been very consistent this year.
And I'm glad you mentioned one of the younger players because you're a veteran now, which is probably crazy to believe, I'm sure. How much has Bob relied on you in terms of a leadership factor, and how would you explain your leadership qualities to me?
I definitely think he leans on certain guys on the team to be leaders, and whether that's vocally or showing by example, he definitely leans on certain players. Jordan, Tommy, Kenny, Steven, even Tony Walls, who came in a little later in the season. But he's leaning on these guys to show one, be confident when you're playing, when you get your time, and two, these guys are looking at us because I think once you're being coached under Bob, you find out that there's a lot that he does say, and there's a lot of information coming at you all at once that you really need to pick the little things that he's saying, and those are the very important things to latch onto. So those are the things that you give a little tidbit to Danny Griffin, you say a little bit to Lucas or something like that, and don't worry about too much that what he's saying, that'll come. But this is very important. These 2-3 things, these are very important. And I think it's just more than just even saying something is they see the hard work that some of the older guys are putting in. And I think that really goes to show that, hey, if he's still doing the hard work for Bob and he's been with him for 4 or 5 years, I can definitely put in the work in, 4 or 5. Like I was saying, a lot of guys putting in a lot of good work and a lot of good quality on the field makes for a great team.
Yeah, for sure. And you've spent a lot of time with Bob. I feel like he's just like fine wine. He gets better with age, and the teams that he's on are just better with him. What makes this season with Bob so much different than the rest? And like, I don't know how to say it. I guess like what works for his coaching style for you guys?
Um, I'd say for him, just everyone being on the same page. As much as I don't even know if maybe he watches this interview, for sure he knows it too. He hammers. Um, Sometimes in meetings will go very long, and he'll hammer in a certain system or a certain way of defending or a certain way of attacking. And as much as that can be very frustrating as a player, just sitting there and listening hours on hours of just tactics and this and that, I think that's very important because, like I said before, now I'm not even thinking if Tommy's going to be off my shoulder or if Skylar's going to be off my shoulder. It doesn't cross my mind. I know I move right, Kenny moves right.
Mm-hmm.
I move left, Lucas moves left. Everyone is just kind of on the same page, and you're, for lack of better words, you're kind of mindless in that sense. Like, exactly what to do. It's the time to think about it is a lot less. And guys are moving as a team and as a unit, and we're being very consistent with our defending, which again helps with our attacking because we can keep the ball a little bit more.
Yeah, for sure. Toward the end of the season here, you guys were pretty much owning first place in Group F for quite some time, and then there were some results that didn't quite go your way, and Hartford ended up taking that top spot. It seems now that there's a different mentality going into the playoffs of having something to prove, so to say. You guys had already beat Louisville once this season. You can fact check me on that if you played them more than once. It's been a long season. But you guys opened up the season with a win down there. What is the game plan without giving too much away? What's the game plan for heading down to Louisville this weekend?
I think it's, you're on the road, and it's a great opponent, great team to open up to in the playoffs. And I think it's for us to be confident and to show our quality when we get down there, show our energy, and not let the game come to us. But we're going to step to the game, and we're going to try to take the game to them in their stadium. And everything comes with our effort, the things we can control. So how hard we work and the passes that we are giving, trying to possess the ball and choosing the right times to pressure and stuff like that. These are all things we can control, and whether the ball bounces our way or not, that's a little bit of luck. And in soccer and any sports, there's always a little bit of luck. So we're going to control what we can, and hopefully on that day the ball falls on our side, and we get that little bit of luck that we may need to win the game, because it's going to be a hard one for sure. It's going to be a good game.
Yeah, it's going to be a really good game. For some of these younger guys, it's going to be, their first playoff game. Some of the guys maybe on the team last year, they might get their first minutes in a playoff game or something to that standpoint. Mm-hmm. Being a veteran and being a leader on the team, what's kind of your and some of the other guys like Kenny and Danny and Tomas who've like been here before, what's kind of your message to these younger guys heading into a playoff game? Because I'm sure they're all like, they're really excited, and for a good reason, absolutely. But you guys know that you need to keep your emotions in check, and when you're going down there to play soccer and win it and try to win the game. So what's your guys' message to these younger players who are new to this whole playoff thing?
I guess it's one of those scenarios, like you win, you go on, or you lose and you go home. So the hard work we've been putting in, and that you're going to work hard that game. So now it's just about having fun, let loose, enjoy it, and just show your quality. Because I think if you're too tense and you're overthinking it too much, that's when you're overthinking the game. So it's just about being a little bit loose and enjoying the game at this point, because all the hard work is you put in a lot of hard work, and I know you're gonna put in the hard work for the game. So try to enjoy the game and enjoy the moments, and I think we'll do well as a team.
Do you think that there's a lot of pressure on you guys heading into this game because of how high you set the bar last year and then riding for 5-6 weeks at the top of Group F and whatnot, just being now turning the club around, being a successful team? How much pressure do you think is on you guys, if there is any?
I'm sure there's pressure on the club, and I'm sure there's pressure on the players. I try not to think too much of the pressure. Um, I think about my job as a player is to help win the game that's ahead of me. So whatever I can do to control winning this game on the weekend, that's what I'm gonna do as an individual and try to help the team. And I'm gonna focus on that. And if I can handle that on Saturday and move on and become a better player for the team, then I think good things will come for the club. And at the end of the season, whenever that be, we can look back and I can be proud of what I gave for the team.
Yeah. Speaking of end of the regular season, the Steel Army always awards a player of the year, chosen by members and the board and everything. And you got voted as the 2020 recipient. What was that like?
It was amazing, to be honest. It's very, very, very nice of them to recognize me and the organization to recognize me like that. And there's a lot of great players and a lot of great players on our team that had good seasons this year. So I'm excited. It's a great award, one that I'm for sure going to cherish for a while. But it's one of those ones. It comes at a tough time in the season. I got the award. I'm very excited, but I can't sit on it for too long because I know, as much as I love the award, I'd love to win the championship as well. So my focus has kind of shifted fairly quickly to this first playoff game, and I'm ready and eager to get to the game and continue the journey.
And at that game, we had talked about playing down at the stadium down in Louisville. They have been having fans there and such. And I know they had fans at the first game that you guys played against them. Just on one, this is a two-part question. The first part, what's it like to actually be able to play in front of fans this year, given all the circumstances? And then how weird is it back home to not have the Steel Army, to not have crowds of about 3,000 people there?
Yeah, it is a little bit different. Definitely playing. I think I've become accustomed to it a little bit, knowing, after the first couple of games, you realize that there's not going to be that many people there. There's no one going to be at the games. And to be in front of fans again, I think it'll feel the same as it did before, as when we did have fans. It'll quickly set in. But in the end, I guess it's just noise. In the background, fans, the smells and everything that come with fans being there, the popcorn and everything there. And it's going to be great to have people there. And I think it's going to maybe boost in a little bit of energy in some of the guys as well, give them that little bit of step that they need at the game, which will be great for us going down to Louisville. So I'm excited. Definitely want to be careful with the team and how we conduct ourselves, and following the guidelines still going into the game, and still being careful, because at the end of the season, guys are still going home to their families and whatnot. So definitely excited, but definitely want to still be careful with the guidelines and everything.
Yeah, for sure. Being very cautious, and kudos to you guys for, having a clean slate this whole season. So, well done to you guys and the staff and everybody in that regard. It's definitely been a weird season, but just looking back 7 months ago, it's hard to believe 7 months we've been dealing with all of this, but just how much have you appreciated this season? Because back in March, we didn't even know if it was going to happen. Like, how much has this kind of been kind of a reconnecting factor to, oh my gosh, I just love this game?
I think I'm very appreciative of this season, and I think it'll show you more, and I think I'll understand how much I really appreciated this season once off season comes, because things will definitely be shut down, especially me living in Canada. You need to really go in a facility inside somewhere to play with all the snow and everything. So I think not being able to get out there with my friends and kick around in the off season and really train the way I usually train will really show how grateful I was for the season. But I know guys are very appreciative of the season and grateful that they got some games in. And of course, everyone's very excited for the playoffs. They don't always come, so when they come, you got to take advantage of it.
For sure. Anything else you want to add about the season, about the playoffs coming up? Anything you want to share with just anybody listening?
Trying to think. No, I don't think so. I can't think of anything. I'm really trying to think of something. That's why I wanted to say something at least. But yeah, I guess I just like to say thanks to anyone that's listening. And I know it's been a season where we couldn't really have fans, but we've had tremendous support, especially with the signs early on and people through social media and people supporting us when they're even not in the stands. So that's been fantastic for the group. And for me especially, it's been very amazing. My family can't cross the border right now to come watch games. So it's been great to have people check in and say congrats on the game, or little messages like that have gone long ways for me. And I'm really appreciative. And I want to say thank you to anyone that's ever reached out, or everyone that's following when they can't come to the game. It's been lovely.
We got to end on a good funny note. I have two good questions for you. Who is your funniest teammate and why? And what is your favorite Bob Lilly quote?
Funniest teammates. It's taking me so long because I don't want to say it. I'm gonna say Jordan, but I don't want you guys to tell him. I'll leave it at that.
I hope Jordan's listening.
Good answer.
He walked out of his room when he heard me say it. Yeah. Favorite Bob Lilly quote?
That you're allowed to say, I guess.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I don't know.
Really putting you on the spot here. I might have to have you think about that and get back to me on that.
Yeah. I might have to get back to you on that one. I don't think there's one that I can think of quite right now. I will say that he always has little sayings towards the end of the season that really gets the team going. So those will be my favorite for now. He last year was I can't remember what it was last year. It was like who's on top? Hounds on top. And then he'd say something else, and it would just be something really quick like that, and you'd say it twice, and it'd bring the guys together. Really, really a lot of energy from the guys after winning a game. And from what I can say on here, that'll be my favorite. So, yeah.
And then we'll keep the Jordan thing between us and whoever listens.
Yeah,
we won't give him too much credit.
I'm gonna tell him right now that I changed my answer. So.
That's totally fair. I understand. Well, good luck on Saturday. The whole city's rooting for you. We're totally behind you and hope you guys get a result so we can keep watching you guys and covering you guys. And thanks for joining.
All right. Thank you, Rachel. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Hope to see you soon, my friend.
All right. Sounds good. See you.
Well, thank you to Ryan James for joining us. Thanks to the Riverhounds for getting that all set up. I'm glad that you all were able to listen to the interview that I had with Ryan. Hopefully we can have him back on the show sometime. And of course, best of luck to the team tomorrow as they head down to Louisville for the playoff match. Don't forget, you can subscribe to us on Deezer, Podcast Addict, Apple Podcasts. Rate, review, and subscribe. It helps us tremendously. Thanks for listening, everyone. Have a great week and take care.